Okay, I think I'm live. All right, so this is going to be the beginning part of your project, and you're going to need a sheet of 18 by 24 inch paper. However, you're going to cut the paper in half. So this is your paper you're going to be using. You can also use Bristol board paper. It's just a thicker paper. It's pretty durable. You can use vellum service or smooth service. So if you have a piece of Bristol board paper, that's fine, as long as it's within the size requirements that I want, or within the size ball field, if you will. This paper here, this is what you should have. This is what you would purchase in a Drawing One kit when you took Drawing One. This is 80-pound all-purpose paper. It's just general drawing paper, but 80-pound is it's a little thicker, to give you an idea about the difference between poundage and whatnot. Newsprint, which is what they make newspapers out of, that is, I believe, 20-pound paper. So it's very light and very, very thin. And this paper's has a little thickness to it. It's a little bit more meaty. It's a little more durable. These areas here are usually perforated. I like to get my thumb and put it right on the edge there. And if you're lucky, I almost had a perfect pull. Son of a gun. Not good for the video. There we go. If you're lucky, you can pull it in one easy pull. Whenever you handle paper, I'm very concerned about paper. What's not good is if you crease it. So when I see people handle paper with one hand and they're creasing, I'm not deliberately not creasing this, but they crease it, it can ruin the paper. And then if you were to document this on a cell phone or digital camera, that little crease there is going to cause a shadow, and it's going to look like you're treating your work poorly. So to get around that, you always carry your work either with two hands, always bending like so. You can carry it with one hand if you do this. And when you're not using it, I would just keep it on a drawing board. I have a drawing board that's just a piece of plywood right here that I might draw on with this project if I want to bring it to another space. But I'm going to draw it on this surface here. After you get your sheet of paper out, I'm just going to put it to the side for a second. I'm going to put this away. And again, this drawing pad, keep it in a flat place. Do not store this on a shelf where half of it's kind of leaning down. You're just going to bend the paper. I need to take a sheet out and it's going to have an arc to it. So store it in a flat place. Whether you store it on the ground, but store it in a nice flat place on a shelf, preferably a shelf that's 18 inches or bigger in terms of width. I'm putting my paper back on my shelf. Doing what I preach. Okay, I have my paper here. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to cut this paper in half. The reason being is because we're going to have vanishing points taped to the side, and if it's a large sheet of paper, you're going to need a little bigger space to work, and I'm concerned a lot of you at home might not have a huge space to work. So how do I prepare this paper? What I'm doing right now is I'm lining up my corner, and I'm just going to run my finger down here and crimp the corner. I'm just crimping the corner. That's all I'm doing. I'm crimping it. This is just a fast way without measuring. And I'm crimping the corner. Gently run your paper down and I'm crimping the corner. That's it. Don't crimp all the way down. It marks it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my 4H pencil. And it's a good thing to sharpen. My wife bought me the sharpener today. Got a bright pink one for me. So now I'm just trying to see where that, oh, my head doesn't, trying to see where that little crimp is, and I'm just marking it because I will say it's hard to see where that crimp is. So I'm marking it here, I'm marking it there. Next thing I'm gonna do is, if you have a ruler like this, cork back, it's super thin. If you ever grab a ruler that has that cork back, it almost has a sharp edge to it, which is nice because this is how printmakers cut their paper. They never cut it with a knife, they rip it. I'm gonna show you how to rip it. It's gonna take a little practice, and I recommend you practice on something like this, and I'm just gonna do a quick little demonstration on a piece of printing paper. I crimped my corners. In this case, I'm not gonna mark it, I'm just gonna line it up. I grab the far corner and I'm pulling it towards my chest or my chin. More my chest. And it rips beautifully, almost like you cut it with a razor blade. Now you should have a ruler, 24-inch ruler. If you don't, and you just want to measure and cut with an X-Acto or a penknife tool, that's fine. However, whatever works for you. I'm just showing you a technique that printmakers use. And if you look at their paper that's framed in a print that is framed, you usually see a torn edge. They print with really thick paper, so the torn edge is part of it. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing the same thing. And when I'm pulling the paper, the weight of my body I'm pushing down on this cork on the ruler itself, and the weight of my body is pressing where I'm pulling. And I'm just kind of like walking my hand down. And if you notice, I put my hand here so the ruler didn't move, so I can relocate my top hand. Whenever I teach this to students, it takes them about 3-4 sheets of paper to get it down. And then they get it down and they're like, oh, this is cool. It's fast, it's easy, it's simple. And now I have 2 sheets of paper out of 1, and I can take this sheet and I'm just gonna store it. I'm gonna put this in the back. See how it kind of curled up a little bit? I'm gonna put it in the back of my drawing pad and maybe it will flatten out. So I can use this another time. I can also cut it down again in this direction and I'll get something in more proportion to what I had before. So we're gonna use this sheet of paper and I'll explain in a moment. Still need this ruler to put the ruler away. And we're going to prepare this. The first thing I want you to do, it's actually kind of nice that I cut this because I'm going to use those for my side pieces, and I'll explain that in a minute. I think I'm going to cut one more piece to use for the top third vanishing point. You get pretty fast at it once you do it a few times. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this paper over. I guess it really didn't matter if I turned it over one way or the other, but if you have a smudge on one side, make that the back. And the back is what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to, where the hell? Add something here. Oh, for some reason I don't have my yellow tape. You should have yellow frog tape with your kit, and I'm missing it at the moment, but I have this blue tape, and bear with me for a second. This is a live video. I'm gonna have to deal with it, but I prefer to use yellow tape. The reason being, it's a thinner tape. Oh, you gotta be kidding me with this. It's a thinner tape. Hopefully this is on the video. I'm keeping the video, I'm not redoing this. Holy cow. Okay, here we go. Not easy to find the beginning. Gosh, must be painful to watch. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just gonna get a couple pieces of tape, and about somewhere in this zone here, you're just gonna tape down. I'm probably gonna switch this tape out after I finish the video because I don't want the tape to be too thick. It's gonna make impressions on the other side, and I don't want that. So you want to use a thin profile tape, and that's what the yellow tape is. There's also there's a purple tape 3M makes that's very similar to the yellow tape. And you're going to take this last piece, I'm going to put it right here. I know when I pull this blue tape up, it's going to rip the paper slightly, but what are you going to do? I'm going to move these guys. All right, so now I flip this paper over, and the next thing you're going to do is you're going to measure. You can measure with this guy if you want. Actually, I'll measure with this guy because it's just easier for you guys to see. I'm going to measure an inch. Usually people will get the 1 and put the 1 there. Doesn't matter, it's just an inch. So I'm just gonna put the 6 right on the line, and I'm gonna measure to the 7. But before I do that, you have to put 2 dots and connect them. What I mean by that is you're gonna put a dot here, 1 inch, and then you're gonna put a dot here. It's another inch. It's another little trick that I do. I like to turn a ruler upside down because it's a thinner profile. If you have a ruler that doesn't have a cork back and it's just a thicker ruler, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But thin ones are kind of nice because it doesn't leave a shadow, it doesn't cast a shadow. So what I just did there is I just drew a light line. This is a 4H pencil. I could probably make it a little darker than that. And I'm going to move this around. This will get annoying. It's going to get in the way of things. It's nice to have a nice clean workspace. And regarding a workspace, I talk about this, but you might have to hijack your kitchen table. In my syllabus, I also show examples of there's a buffet table that they sell at Home Depot for $49, and it folds up almost like a briefcase, and it unfolds into like I think a 6-foot wide buffet table, and it might be 30 inches deep, or maybe 36 inches deep. I don't know. And that is helpful to use as an at-home studio. So you're drawing a 1-inch border all the way around. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just marking 2 dots and I'm connecting my 2 lines. Do not measure 1 inch around the center and try to draw a vertical line. It's never going to be vertical. You need to measure twice and connect the 2 dots. I'm just going to make this line a little darker so you can see what I'm doing. Because it's not easy when you make a video and you look at it later and you can't even see it. So this is basically preparing your paper. I'm going to make another video about how to fill in the space with rectangles using your sketches that you made from before. So I'm just going to stop it now and see you next video.